Travelling along Bendigo-Maldon Road in Victoria, you might come across an unusual sight. A derelict dredge and a dragline resting in an unexpected location. This odd scene has an intriguing story behind it. Long after the region's gold mining days had ended, a man named George Haywood purchased a dredge in 1958 and began working at Porcupine Creek to extract any remaining traces of gold. These dredges were large, floating barges equipped with a bucket line, designed to excavate sand and gravel from riverbeds and separate the gold-bearing particles. In the early 20th century, bucket dredges were considered cutting-edge technology, specifically deployed to rework areas abandoned after alluvial gold had been extracted. In the 1980s, Haywood, then in his 80s, sold his dredging operation to Bill Anderson, who rewired the dredge and fitted it with a diesel generator for power. Anderson operated it briefly in the existing pond before abandoning it in 1984. The dragline, on the other hand, was purchased from the Yallourn coal mine and brought to the site to aid in the construction of the dam. Today, these massive old machines are part of a quaint picnic area, complete with a table and fire pit, making it an ideal spot for a lunch break. Just 6 kilometers from Porcupine Creek lies the enigmatic township of Maldon, a place that feels like a relic untouched by time. Here, the echoes of Victoria's Gold Rush linger, with historic buildings and streets that seem to stand still in the dust of another era. It's as if the town itself fell asleep in the height of the gold mining days, preserving its charm and quirks for travellers to discover anew. As you journey from Melbourne to Bendigo, Maldon isn't just a stop along the way. It's like stepping into an untouched chapter of Victoria's Gold Rush era. As Mark Twain said, history doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes, and Maldon resonates with those echoes of the past. Its streets, lined with 19th century buildings, aren't simply frozen in time, they brim with character and charm. Here, you can stroll through history as effortlessly as you'd wander into a cozy cafe or a boutique filled with local treasures. Take a ride on the Victorian Goldfields Railway or immerse yourself in the town's heritage at the Maldon Museum. More than a detour, Maldon is a hidden gem, an unexpected reward for those who venture off the beaten path. It's a small town with stories as rich as the gold once mined from its hills. Maldon is about 135 kilometers from Melbourne CBD and can be reached via the Calder Freeway. Tourism brochures describe Maldon as the most Instagrammable town in Australia, picture perfect, with an intact Gold Rush streetscape that has won numerous awards for preservation. Visiting the town feels like stepping back in time. Maldon hosts an annual Easter fair, featuring events such as billy cart racing, dancing in the street, the Great Aussie Scone Bake, a cemetery walk, and the lighting of the Mount Tarrangower Tower. The Maldon Folk Festival has been held annually since 1974. In 1965, the National Trust of Australia awarded Maldon the title of Notable Town for its historic character. In 1836, Major Thomas Mitchell made his return journey from Portland to Sydney after exploring the region he famously named Australia Felix. He passed just south of Mount Tarrangower. Local baker and historian George MacArthur claimed to have discovered Major Mitchell's initials carved into a tree in the Nuggety Ranges, adding weight to the belief that Mitchell passed through what is now Maldon. But MacArthur's legacy in the town doesn't stop there. His bakery, founded in 1854 on Main Street, holds the title of the oldest continuously operating bakery in Australia, baking history into every loaf for over 170 years. In 1841, a settlement was established on the Loddon River near Mount Tarrangower, marking the early days of European settlement in the region. Lachlan Mackinnon, one of the first pastoralists, had taken up land in 1839 and named his run Tarringa. Pastoral licenses soon followed, with licenses issued for Cairn Curran Run in 1840 and Tarrangower in 1842. The Cairn Curran Run later passed into the hands of the Bryant family, and the area became known as the Bryant's Ranges, leaving an enduring mark on the landscape and local history. From the Tarrangower Pastoral Run, the nearby mountain was named Mount Tarrangower, and the region was initially referred to as Tarrangouwer. After the discovery of gold, surveyor John Templeton was commissioned to select a site for a township. He completed initial work by 1854, but a more detailed survey was conducted by Adair in 1856. Adair is credited with renaming the township Maldon, after a town in Essex, England. However, the township was still known as Tarrangouwer until the municipality of Maldon was proclaimed in August 1858. In 1859, a provision was made for a direct representative from Maldon to the Legislative Assembly. The population of Maldon peaked at 3,667 in 1901. However, mining activities began to decline in the 1920s, and by 1933, the town's population had dwindled to 723. Gold was first found on the Cairn Curran property in 1853 by Captain John Metchosk, a German prospector. Diggers began flowing into Maldon in no time. The Colonial Mining Journal on the 4th of August, 1859 reported that alluvial mining in the area had significantly increased the local population after a 100-ounce nugget was found at Sandy Creek. A large influx of Chinese miners followed, but their presence was considered a nuisance by the white population. In addition to digging, many Chinese nationals were involved in thieving and gambling. The law required Chinese men to be segregated and to carry a residence license. Sensational discoveries followed in quick succession: Eagle Hawk, Bell's Reef, and the Beehive in 1854, German, Nuggety, Victoria, and Lyle's Reefs in 1855, Linscott's and Parkin's Reefs in 1856, along with many others of lesser value. The chimney of the Beehive Mining Company still stands near the township. It was designed by D.R. Drape, who was also the architect for the hospital and other buildings in Maldon. The Beehive assembled a large plant, which, due to its elevated position near the town, formed a prominent landmark in those days. Beehive is a peculiar name for a mining company, but there is a story behind it. One day, men working in the shaft came up for a break and noticed a swarm of bees on a post. Until that point, the mine had not been named. One of the miners said, "We will call the mine the Beehive," and so it was aptly named. The remains of the North British Mine can be seen on Parkin's Reef Road. In the 1880s, the North British Mine was described as one of the richest in the world, and it was owned by one man, Robert Dent Oswald. The foundations are complete, and there are still timber engine bearers on some of them. The history of the mine spans a 70-year period, and the site is representative of the rise and fall of the gold mining industry in Victoria. He began mining at Parkin's Reef in 1858, soon after it was discovered, and eventually acquired the mine, which he named the North British. He exercised personal supervision of the mine for nearly 30 years, until he died. It was said Oswald died as a result of an accident he had in the battery of the North British Mine. By the end of the 1920s, most of the gold mining companies had closed their doors. In 1923, the Advance Maldon Association sought a way to attract visitors back to the town and decided to erect a lookout tower. A suitable tower was found at the Comet Mine in Bendigo, dismantled, and brought to Maldon. The tower was officially opened on the 26th of January, 1924. The top level is now used for fire spotting, but the lower levels are open to the public. To reach the tower, drive north along High Street, then turn left onto Mount Tarrangouwer Road. The Victorian Goldfields Railway offers an immersive journey into the steam train era, with Maldon serving as one of its key stops. The Heritage Railway connects the historic Gold Rush towns of Maldon and Castlemaine, recreating the charm and excitement of Victorian rail travel. Departing from Maldon, passengers can experience the sights, sounds, and sensations of a traditional steam locomotive journey, with family compartments that allow you to open the windows, hear the whistle, and feel the wind. For a more refined experience, the first-class Art Deco and Edwardian parlour carriages provide a luxurious setting, where passengers can enjoy a drink from the bar, sink into plush lounge chairs, and take in the countryside. There's also an opportunity to ride with the driver, offering a closer look at the train's operations for an additional fee. Arriving in Maldon, visitors can take a free shuttle or stroll along a bush track into town, where they'll have time to explore the picturesque streets, shops, and eateries before returning to Castlemaine in the afternoon. The railway reached Castlemaine as part of the main Melbourne-Bendigo line in October 1862. When the Bendigo line was extended to reach Echuca and Maryborough, the residents of Maldon petitioned for a connection to their township. In 1876, a preliminary survey was conducted for a railway from Castlemaine to Maldon and on to Newbridge. In 1881, when the Victorian Parliament authorised several new lines, a branch line to Maldon was among them. A. Nichols and Company was awarded the contract to build the line in 1882, and it opened for traffic on 16 June 1884. The line was extended to Shelbourne in 1891. In 1969, bushfire damage to several bridges led to the official closure of the Maldon-Shelbourne extension in 1970. The Maldon line itself was officially closed in December 1976. Shortly thereafter, the Castlemaine and Maldon Railway Preservation Society was established at a meeting in Maldon. The preserved railway line was officially reopened on Easter Saturday, the 29th of March 1986, with historian Professor Geoffrey Blaney declaring it open once again. Visitors to Maldon can enjoy a remarkable opportunity to observe a working mine from a lookout point. The visible mining activity resulted from open-cut operations conducted between 1988 and 1992 to extract low-grade sections of the main reef and surrounding quartz veinlets. In 1994, Alliance Gold Mines initiated further exploration here, targeting new underground ore resources. To access the quartz reefs beneath the current hill surface, a 3-3 meter decline was constructed, descending at a gradient of 1:7 from the far end of the open-cut site. This viewing platform, funded by Alliance Gold Mines, was officially opened by Mr. Marston Thompson, Chairman of Commissioners for Mount Alexander Shire, on the 12th of December, 1995. Maldon is home to a remarkable collection of historic churches, each reflecting the town's rich cultural and architectural heritage. These churches, built in the 19th century, are not just places of worship, but significant landmarks in Maldon's history. We will leave our viewers with some of Maldon's historic buildings we didn't show in the video so far.